Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the last meeting. I mean, things are really weird in South. Is that the right word? Weird. The more we look into it, like, you know, as everybody understands, the Yak Healing Council are trying to shut down the Yak. The Dominion Centre, I believe, they want to build 560 flats. They're going to be losing the workshops on the green, where the marriage palace is. So we've been, you know, really active, and we've been talking to people, and it's just crazy how it's boiling out. It's just mental. I'll give you an example. There was a meeting last Monday held at the marriage palace regarding the Dominion Centre. Now, a lot of leaflets had been given out to people, but what I was really surprised about was that there's supposed to be two community groups. One of them is Southall Community Alliance, as we all know. They're in Southall Town Hall. And the second one is the Indian Workers Association. I believe they were started in the late 50s or early 60s. One of my uncles was a founding member of that organization. Now, would you believe that all the people that go to the town hall, sometimes there's about 7 of us and sometimes there's about 10 of us, they managed not to get people to come in the hundreds and even the thousands. Some of these groups are advertising that they got thousands of members, and some are saying they've got hundreds of members. But yet, when it comes to something serious, like the Dominion Centre, they can't get 10 people to turn up to a meeting. When I say 10, the original 10 or 12 people who go to the Southall Town Hall meeting every Wednesday for the Yak and also for the Dominion Centre. So I reckon there was about 8 extra people there. Anybody like to make a comment of what are these groups actually about?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of these, what I say is the traditional group, I would say, like the standard, they're full of, don't get me wrong, they're good activists. They've done what they've done in the past, but now on these local issues, I feel they aren't engaging people enough to have that drive to come forward, to come to the town hall on a Wednesday, including myself. I have attended a couple of meetings. I've missed a couple, obviously, just work and my personal life's got in the way. But the youth, especially, because the whole point of the Yak is for the youth. Now, I think I must have been the only one in their 20s there. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 people in their 30s and the rest were 40 plus. Nothing wrong with that, obviously, being of the elder generation, because yes, you have, including yourself, Joe, you have witnessed some traumatic stuff in South, I would say, with the National Front, with the racism, with obviously the 70s, what went on, the 80s, and even the 90s. The things what you guys went through is absolutely beyond imaginable. And it's great to have experienced campaigners on board like yourself, but where I think with the sort of gap in the market, if that makes sense, it's the youth and how you're engaging the youth. Like, yeah, we've put out things like, I think I said it as well at the meeting, going to schools, but then we're shut down with that idea. We're like, well, safeguarding, well, okay, you need a DBS to enter a school. You need to engage the head teachers. You need to engage the safeguarding lead at the schools. Now, I said it, and you know it, Joe, I've said it. I am happy to do that. Give me a time, give me a school, give me a place, and I will do that. But if you're saying then we're not a organization as such, we need to set up X, Y, and Z to be an official organization, we don't. Community groups enter schools all the time. When I was in school, we had about 50 community groups a year. I kid you not, every week in assembly would have a 5-minute presentation from a random community group. So it's about how we're engaging the youth, not only the youth, the new faces of Southall, like some of the campaigners which have come up in the last year and a bit, with obviously the recent elections and whatnot. But again, this ain't about politics. Yes, correct. I put my hands up. I did stand in the election, not for political game, like with yourself, Joe. We didn't stand for political game. We stood for change. And I will still stand for change. Yeah, because that's what I strongly believe in. Now, yes, it was a hard hit when we got the support and then we didn't get the support. But I go by the saying, it is what it is. And what that basically means is, yes, all right, cool. Someone says they support you, but they don't. They will just say it to your face and make you go away, basically. Now, did I expect this? Not going to lie to you, Joe, I sort of did. Because the loyalty with these councillors, because let's face it, money talks, as you say, Joe. Now, that's all well and good, but we're going back to the group in the town hall. Now, it's very good that we've got 10 solid people attending these meetings every week. But as you said, Joe, if they're claiming they've got hundreds or thousands of people, send an email out to your mailing list. You can send emails about everything else. You can add, I'm pretty sure Ealing, there's a new page which is Ealing News, I think it's called. They're a very good team. You can drop them one email, they will post whatever you want within reason. The Healing Gazette, nobody's thought of these ideas. Now, I don't know whether we have a Southall Gazette anymore, but even if we don't, why not create one? We've got people, we've got the numbers, we've got the facility, but it can't always lie on the same people, because how much can one person do is my argument. Now, yes,
absolutely.
If you've got the time and you've got the resources and you want to do it, that's fine. But if someone is then delegating you, like, you do X, Y, and Z, I'm just going to sit here, that doesn't slide with me. And that's why, I'll be honest with you, Joe, that's why I did take a step back from campaigning to an extent. Now, with campaign groups I'm currently involved in, including Cleaner for Southall and Hayes, not once, and I kid you not once, I've been told, you do this, I'll not do anything. No, it's a team effort. When you need a task done, you need to divide that task into 3 or 4 people, get things done. Social media is a big part of this. Now, they want to say, well, social media, only the youth is on. That is not true. Joe, I'm pretty sure you have some form of social media. Arif, I know you do. Rashpal, I know you do. And Angela, obviously you do. And so does myself. We aren't all the same ages. And that just shows you that there is a gap in the market there. Now, if they need a social media team, that's fine. They can ask the group, because everyone's got a different set of skills they can bring to the table. That's what I've noticed, especially where I work. Everybody has a different set of skills. Some people are good at IT. Some people are good at public speaking. Some people are good at making material. Get the people to make the material, give it to the IT team, and get the people to speak out on the public domain. Now, but where it comes down to is, and I'm going to say it how it is, it comes down to ego. There's some ego about this, that, oh, well, if I do this, it's going to belittle me, or it's not going to make me look this way or that way. I'm sorry. If you're trying to hit a cause, why are you worried about what the, in a way, backlash is? When I ran in the election, a lot of backlash could have happened to me in my personal life, to say the least.
I'll explain to you about backlash. I'll explain to you about backlash in a minute. My question was this: these groups, okay? These groups, yeah, we know, we have proof that one of these groups is getting a lot of money. from Healing Council. Okay. They get backing from the lottery fund, or used to get lottery fund money. But where are the actual members? Where is the community? Are you honestly telling me that this exists only on paper?
Joe,
Maybe-
I think you're raising really good points, because I totally agree with Sufyan. You know, I'm not going to take anything away from older activists. We all have different experiences and skills that we can bring to the table. But when I saw the group outside of the town hall protesting against the closure of the Yak, I personally didn't see anybody under the age of 25. And for me, that caused that particular protest to lose power. Had it have been a group of youngsters plus a few older people in the background, that would have created more power to alert the media and to get the council to think about, you know, how they're engaging with the community. But I totally agree with Sufyan, it takes a lot of time and effort. And there are groups that have young people as their clientele. And I'll give you an example. There is Onkar Singh. He runs karate classes at Dormers Wells Leisure Centre. A lot of young people go to those classes. You know, it's a very popular pastime. And how I found out about his classes, I was with my daughters in Southall Park. He was training an adult, and he just came over and started chatting about what he does and the time of his classes at Dormers Wells Leisure Centre. Why not approach somebody like him and say, could we at least provide you a supply of leaflets about the campaign, because it is impacting on the age group that you work with? And he could have those leaflets on his table for parents to pick up, dropping off their kids and picking up their kids. I'm also making an assumption here that the Gurdwaras have youth groups that meet. Likewise with the mosque, so the mosques and the churches have youth groups. Why not see if there's a way to try and engage these organizations? And sometimes it takes just sheer energy, you know, going to local parks, chatting to parents. You know, these are the places that people go to, the libraries. But it takes the willpower, you know, and obviously, as Sufyan said, the time, you know, to devote to being creative in how you actually engage the audience that are going to be most affected by the closure of the Yak. But when I just see, you know, a photograph of older people protesting, you know, I think, where are the young people? You know, their voice should have much more power. They should have agency to say, you know, this is not acceptable.
I think they're bluffing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think these groups are bluffing themselves. Okay. The game's all about money and nothing else. Because if I'm saying to you that I have 199 members, and I'm talking about communities, well, where is the community? If you cannot get the community behind you, yeah, they very well get people together if a council is coming, or some leaders coming from Healing Council.
Or at their
Yeah.
AGM. Their AGM seems to be well attended.
And
I wasn't invited to that, so I can't speak for that. But
Oh,
I was upset that I wasn't invited.
no, like Joe, but just that about, even if, say you invite, it's a numbers game. With all meetings, it's a numbers game. You invite 1,000 people, say 500 turn up. Yep. And out of those 500, I'll say 1 in 5 people might bring a +1. So that just increases your numbers, and then people are getting enticed. So it's about bringing, yeah, you need to send that invite as wide as you can. Not you personally, but you know what I mean? Like,
Well, maybe maybe our friend can answer the question. The meeting, Arif, has been cancelled for tomorrow in Southall Town Hall by Jan Pal. And I was wondering, do you know what other meeting they're holding there tomorrow?
It's a short film about Southall. Let's see.
So why aren't we invited to that? I'm a member of Southall.
It's a film called Me and My Southall.
Yep.
It's by the Punjabi Theatre Academy.
We know all about that one. Yeah, money from the lottery fund, no doubt.
Well, something like that. You got to apply for funds to do something.
Yeah.
If you want to make a film about you and your Southall, you can apply for funds.
No, but the argument is, Arif, why aren't the normal people who go to this meeting? Why didn't Jan Pal send them a message?
I didn't even know the meetings got cancelled, Joe.
Yeah, I've just received it, and that's why I'm a bit cheesed off, because we get told the day before, yeah, that the meeting's cancelled. So Sufyan, my idea is that we go to this meeting tomorrow, or this film view, and we see who's there. Because at the end of the day, it's our town hall. It belongs to
at the end of the day, Joe, this is where this lies about communication. They want to talk. I mean, all due respect to Jan Pal and the rest of the team, I've got immense respect for these guys, yeah. But where it comes to like this, they collect a mailing list. Every meeting, they have a mailing list with your name, email for attendance, yeah. Cool. I hand that over. Now, I've never been, I'll be real with you, Arif, and the rest of you. I've never, apart from in 2017 when I joined those meetings, about 6 minutes I've got. 6 minutes from those meetings. Past that, ever since I rejoined, never received a single minute. I will see the minutes at the meeting, and minutes are circulated before the meeting. I know this for a fact. So I've got a question which I will ask when I next see Jan Pal and Suresh. Why are these minutes not being circulated to myself? Whether they're circulated to other people and you guys are in another email chain and they've not added me or whatever, that's fine. But I am there for a reason. We all need to be kept in a loop. I am just as important as in this campaign, because as the rest of everyone, we are, because I'll be honest with you, some of these campaigners which have now jumped on what I call the bandwagon, where were they when initially this was happening? Because we were there at both consultations. Yes, they might have been there, but they weren't vocal. Now, me being a youngster in this town, I've seen us stripped of pediatric healthcare. Just want to touch on that for a second. I work for the NHS, yeah. I have seen it with my own eyes. Our mum, I was in Healing Hospital at A&E for something. Our mum came in. The receptionist of the kid was bleeding. At least treat the kid and then send her elsewhere or refer her elsewhere. The mum was denied care at Ealing Hospital. They were told, this ain't a pediatric hospital, we don't see children.
So you let him bleed to death?
And I looked and I kid you, I walked up to that desk, I was like, excuse me, what do you mean? This is a very urgent thing. He is literally oozing out blood from his arm. I didn't ask what happened. It could have been a stabbing, it could have been something else, it could have been an accident, whatever. If someone is bleeding, have they got an open wound? That is a cause for a concern in Ealing Hospital. And this is one thing. Ealing Hospital, according to some of the staff there, is actually private.
Well, the front is,
The front is, yeah, Greenbrook Healthcare. So I've actually contacted Greenbrook.
Care, I think they call it. Critical
Greenbrook Healthcare. So I contacted them because I had to make a complaint regarding some of the staff and the way they treated myself.
Oh, they're terrible, man. They're terrible.
So I contacted head office and I emailed them. I said, I work for the NHS. Here's my ID number. I go, I know NHS policy better than any of your staff sitting there, with all due respect to them. The lady at the front desk now, when you attend A&E, you get a discharge summary. Am I correct? Am I correct? You ever received a discharge summary from A&E? From your GP, you might have received it if you request one. So they're typed up there and then. After the consultation, when they discharge you, that discharge summary is not manually typed. As you're doing your care, so your stats are input, everything, that's automatically getting filled out, and it will be ready as soon as you get discharged. So I asked for that discharge summary at reception. I go, look, I need the discharge summary because I take this privately now, because the key I've got here ain't no care. Yeah. And the guy at reception goes to me, oh, I don't need to provide you anything. Said to him, hold on a minute.
Arrogant. We told the chief executive, don't you remember, in the church meeting in Church Avenue?
Yeah. And I told him straight, I go, drop your attitude with me because it won't slide with me.
No, but that's what they want, Sophia. They want you to get upset and walk away. Because remember, once they have your details, that's how they're going to build the National Health Service. It's a con. So they're there to upset you.
Yeah, so I said.
One doctor was working all weekend. Yeah. And there's about 25,000 people waiting in the queue. And the queue was 9 to 10 hours long. So you've got to try to understand this happen. This doesn't happen in other areas. It doesn't. Happen.
Even Chiswick.
It will not happen in Healing Hospital. They're lovely people there because they care.
Central Mid.
Right place.
So
the problem with our people is, it's nothing to do with the heart, and it's all to do with the £50 note. It's very simple. It's how we started this topic. Southall Community Alliance, could not bring people to the meeting on Monday, last Monday, Indian Workers Association couldn't bring anybody, Now, what I've been told, and this is a shocking part, Ranjit Tir, the councillor, is a member of Southall Southall Indian Workers Association. Okay, and yet he's the one who's voting for the Dominion Centre. So everything's wrong in Southall.
Joe, are you saying only about 10 people turned up to this meeting?
Joe, can I answer your question?
I admit I got a letter about it. But,
Joe, can I answer that?
Sorry?
I was there. There were at least 25 people there.
25.
I know, but what I'm saying
is 10,
no, what I'm saying is the extra people were not the people who come to our meeting every Wednesday. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But
I'll be honest with you, 25 is not a lot, Arif.
It's nothing.
Yeah, but it's
you're talking about a massive development.
It's not
and you're talking about development
it's the actual residents. Residents, if the residents don't turn up, you can't blame the organisers.
Did business owners turn up all along King Street and the Green? Did they turn up? Because look, when you look at the car park at the weekend, many of the users are actually what I call out of towners. They don't live in Southall. They'll come to Southall to do their Asian food shopping and attend events at Milan Palace.
If you tell people,
are they going to come when there's very limited car parking space? Are they going to hump their bags of chapati flour on the bus and then onto the train? It's not going to happen, is it?
The thing is, if you tell people you're going to actually save a car park, not many people are interested.
Well, Arif, if you get 560 flats and you call an ambulance,
I understand what you're saying.
And the ambulance say there's a six-hour waiting. There's a 6-hour waiting or a queue. People are already ringing the Metropolitan Police, and they're saying that we don't have the staff unless it's a life or death situation.
Right.
I've spoken to residents.
Right. Can I just add something else? Right.
Sure, you can.
Right. There's going to be a public sort of inquiry on the 11th,
Yep.
About the Dominion and the Green development, right?
Yep.
So that group is actually taking priority because you actually need to produce some legal representation. Yeah, people need to turn up, they need to register, and they need to actually specify exactly what they're going to say at the meeting. Otherwise, they won't be let in. Yeah.
No, but Mr. Arif, the question is,
Yep.
where are the other community members?
Yeah. Let me finish. Yeah.
Which these groups are saying.
Hold
that they
on.
have.
Hold on. The other thing is the other meeting said the youth centre, because the councillor Kamal Jeet has said it's not, we haven't actually decided anything yet. That's actually sort of on the second priority.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know.
At the moment, yeah.
They're backtracking. The council's backtracking.
It hasn't backtracked, but the delaying or
What they have,
saying
that's the
confusing
information
people, yeah?
I'm getting from the town hall.
The
Yeah,
other
but
thing,
what-
if you want to be on the email list, yeah, or the WhatsApp group list, all you got to say is, I'm not on the list, can you add me to it? That's all you got to say, yeah? The program which is happening tomorrow, I don't think Southall Community Alliance are organizing it, yeah? So this other person is organizing it. It's his responsibility to promote it, yeah?
Yeah, that's fair enough, Arif.
Yeah.
But
No, the
He
Southall
uses-
Community
he
Alliance
uses-
doesn't actually
uses the
promote
address.
all the events that are actually happening. Yeah, they don't actually have the resources. They don't actually have the people.
No, are you going, Arif? Are you going
To where?
to watch this film?
Well, like you, I'm going to turn up and see what it's all about. How many people turn up? Yeah.
Well,
But
you wanna
Arif, it
be-
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Why have
I'm
they
sorry.
cancelled? Because it seems to me, from what you're saying, Joe, the meeting on a Wednesday night is a standing meeting, yeah? That's going to be in the
100%.
diary for weeks and months to come, yeah?
Every
And
week
everybody
it's
knows
regular.
Wednesday,
Regular.
that's the meeting about saving the yak, yeah? I don't
And the Dominion-
understand. You know,
And the
there's
Dominion Centre.
I don't think there's diary. It just sort of say we meet every Wednesday at 6.
We do.
okay, all right, Arif, just on that, you said the council haven't made no decision. Well, that's not what we got told at the meeting in was it February we went?
that's
They
right, yeah.
lied to-
In
the council were lying to us.
2019.
Yes.
Councillor Kamaljeet Nagpal said very clearly to a young girl who was voicing her concern, well, the decision was made 3 years ago, but it wasn't made public because we didn't have 100%. Now, this is why this meeting is held, because it will be closing.
Yeah.
And then Ian Jenkins and Karen, I can't remember Karen's surname, both said at that meeting that, yes, there is not much we can do. We're holding this meeting to voice, to see if the council will listen. But then the council made this decision in late 2019 and they didn't publicize it because they didn't know. And I even said it, there's a video of me in February saying, the council thought it this much when the plan is this much. What happens to the rest of it? Because the council only thought, right, we'll deal with it then and there. Well, now it's happening. They're not thinking. Now they want to deflect and say, well, no, the public can deal with it because it's not our issue. We've sold the land. No, the council are scared to attend these meetings because they can't face the public because they know they've done wrong once again, as they did with the town hall, as they did with Tudor Rose, but Tudor Rose obviously got saved for whatever reason, as they did with many other things as well. Yep. The council, Arif, I'll be honest with you, do not trust the word the council say. Do not trust the word of any council, what they say. Because the few councillors we had, there was 2 councillors, I'm not going to name them because that's not right. There was 2 councillors at the last before the elections happened. There were 2 councillors who actually listened. Coincidentally, they both no longer are councillors. Think about that for a second, because even when I stood, I liaised with fellow councillors, fellow candidates, not just in the Ealing Independent Lab. I liaised because that's what democracy is. Outside polling stations, for goodness sake, the Labour Party were entering polling stations. That's not allowed. Yep. The council want to have one rule for other people, one rule. I was grabbed by a security guard after I got off a bus, and then somebody had to come and speak to the security guard, because at the end of the day, and I will say it again, it's one rule for them and another rule for us. And that's not the way I work in life. Yep. There is something called rights and there is something called abuse of rights. And what they have done, they have exploited Southall to such a far extent that it's beyond exploitation. And I don't let that slide, because I'll be honest, I know people personally who are suffering. Yeah, people are suffering in Southall, and the council and the councillors want to drive in Range Rovers and Jaguars and all this, with getting driven by the MP, for goodness sake. But this is what the council does in Southall. Now,
Have you received this around Ealing?
oh,
Not
they don't
yet.
post
It is-
them to my house anymore. Since
Or do they
then.
not? Yeah,
They don't
this
post them.
landed on my mat a few days ago. And there's a double page spread, a reset for Southall, talking about a 4-year program to challenge deep-rooted challenges specific to Southall. So there's a section about bringing the so what's the house called on the green?
The manor
Okay,
house.
that's it. Sorry, brain fog. The manor house, bringing that back into use for businesses, and it's going to apparently be creating jobs.
Really?
And it also talks about in this article active travel. There's going to be 1,000 bikes for Southall residents.
Okay.
The reality is 1,000 bikes are people who will need the cash more than the bike. Watch these bikes turn up on Facebook Marketplace and eBay. People are going to struggle to pay their bills. I'm sure many of you are alarmed on the news about interest rates going up.
Cost of
And
living.
I'm thinking, crikey, yeah, cost of living. You know, I'm waiting for that envelope to drop through my letterbox from the bank telling me my mortgage rate's gone up. It's a deflection. This article is a deflection away from the issues that are seriously impacting upon Southall residents. Now, they've also touched on Let's Go Southall and the outdoor gyms. I went to I've been to 3 gyms. I've been to one at Spikesbridge Park, Southall Park and Southall Rec. And they've all now got defective equipment that doesn't work properly. Yeah.
Must
So
be nice
I took
in
a
the rain.
photograph of the handbike in Spikesbridge Park. There's no resistance. It's been like that for weeks. I used
Somebody's
a cross
making money out
trainer.
of it.
Yeah, it's this equipment has a 25-year guarantee. It's not going to last 5 years, let alone 25 years.
Won't last a year, Ange. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you.
There's a cross trainer in Southall Park and the paint is already flaking off. It's going to be corroded in no time. Also, the other day it was raining, wasn't it? How many people are going to go to the park in the rain to work out? They think we are fools, at the end of the day, and we're stupid.
And like, with all
The
due
neglect
respect
of
to-
Southall is aggressive and it's annihilating the lives of ordinary people. Can I just touch upon very quickly the air pollution? Very close to where I live, there are 2 incinerators or wood burners, whatever you want to call them, regularly pumping out plastic fumes. It is absolutely horrendous, the smell of burning plastic, which enters your home, or enters my home, certainly other residents as well. And it is seriously toxic and potentially carcinogenic. And the
Well, it should be
council are not doing anything about this.
No,
There's
but
been an allegation on Twitter that one of these wood burners isn't genuine, generally manufactured by a company, and that potentially the company stickers on the outside of the wood burner are fake. But also,
but Angela, it
got
should
really
be closed.
cavalier attitude. The wood burner's going, you've got bits of burning wood falling outside of it, and you've got offcuts of particle
No,
board or
but it
whatever
should,
it
it
is.
should be shut down, basically. It should be shut down under health and safety.
Yeah,
The councillors have to be held up to this task for the simple reason is we must do a letter to Mr. Peter Mason and grab that other councillor. Oh, well, you know, the one that never says anything, Dinsa, Councillor Dinsa, and the multimillionaires councillor from the Green.
and then, yeah.
Well, we need to contact these three councillors
Joe,
and put it on to them.
yeah,
while they're
Joe, I
doing
emailed, so did another neighbour, and I copied my email about this situation to Virendra Sharma, all the councillors, and Dr. Anka Sahota, yeah? Because this is such a serious situation that is compromising our health. And the NHS is already overburdened. Why should we be turning up and being prescribed asthma inhalers when the source of the problem, and it's right in our midst, is not being dealt with? I totally agree with you. These incinerators should be shut down. In the same way that we would find it unacceptable if our neighbours had a bonfire every day and chucking their old plastic containers on it. You know, it beggars belief. You know, I can't understand how they can allow this to happen.
Yeah, so
Angela, Dr. Onka was on the Labour Party radio station in South over the weekend. And
Desi Radio? Is that Desi?
Yes, that's the local Labour Party radio station. That's what I've nicknamed it, the Labour Party radio station. And he was on there, and people, as usual, were ringing and praising what a wonderful job that he's been doing. I've hardly heard of him for the last couple of years, I suppose. I haven't seen him at any meeting. But obviously, people are phoning in and praising him. The radio does have this situation where they do hold people onto the line. When you go there for an interview, they've already got planned people, setups, I call them, yeah? They've done it with me and Leslie. They had a lady holding on the line for ages, and they said, is it okay if we put her through? She said, she won't say anything bad. I said, I don't care what she says. I'm here to answer any question that anybody has. So you know how this radio station works. So I've nicknamed Desi Radio as the Labour Party radio station, okay? Forget about being a charity, yeah? They're actually the Labour Party radio station, as far as I'm concerned. So now what we've got to do is get in touch with our politicians, because you've got to remember, they do receive funding. They do get paid, okay? So we need to write letters to all three of them, okay? And let's see which one of them comes forward. And the ones that don't come forward, yeah, we should be parked outside their house on a nice Saturday morning, yeah, asking them questions.
Yeah.
Agreed, Joe.
Yeah.
Because they're not responding to us. I wrote to Peter Mason back in July after we had our air quality meeting, and I had questions about the air quality monitoring and the fact that one of the monitors is behind a hoarding and another one is behind a hedge, which potentially can affect the air quality readings. I also asked for the data in relation to the passive monitoring, and I haven't received a reply. And it was a perfectly civil letter emailed to him, and I didn't receive a response. I even contacted the leader's office to say, I've not heard anything. Has he received the email? Didn't hear anything. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you're a public servant. You've been elected to represent residents.
By the minority.
But, you know, it's your job to respond to concerns and issues that residents in Southall Green have. And not to reply is highly discourteous.
Yeah.
Now, he tweeted not long ago about Thames Water dumping sewage in the River Brent, I believe in Hanwell.
Yep.
He's more concerned about the health of eels than he is about residents.
humans.
In actual fact, he doesn't care that young children are being polluted to death. And that's what will happen.
Well, you gotta
Inhaling
blame Mr. Sharma.
melamine, which is the WHO
Mr.
says
Sharma's
is
got to take
potentially
some of the blame.
carcinogenic, should be criminalized.
Yeah, but Angela, IMP's got to take some of that blame because he clearly is not working for the majority. He's working for the minority. That's a problem.
Yeah, he's holding another meeting,
Oh,
I believe next
I'm
month
definitely
at
going.
Moorfields Community Library.
I'm
I
definitely
won't be going because it's not just a meeting with him. There's going to be various other people there, similar, I guess, to the meeting held at the church,
No,
St. John's
but the
Church.
people- but
And I want to
Angela,
have a dialogue with the
But the-
MP. I don't want to hear him say, hello, welcome to my meeting. And then he hands the floor to various individuals.
But then we've got to tell them that we're actually here to have a meeting with our MP. We represent. We want to be represented by our MP. We're not here for a showdown with other people.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear stories, what their plans are. We want to speak to Mr. Sharma because he's elected MP of Southall and Hanwell. And
Just
why he's holding a meeting in Northfields, I honestly don't know, because I don't think he represents Northfields, does he?
Ealing,
Does he?
isn't he
That-
Ealing?
But I don't know.
I
Yes,
thought
he
it was only-
does. He
I thought it
does.
was only up to Hanwell.
Ealing Southall does include that area.
No, but only up to Hanwell, I believe.
No, it goes further than Hanwell.
Huh?
It goes further than Hanwell.
Well, he'll have a hard time there because those people won't let them do the nonsense that they do in Southall. People will be wanting to ask
Yeah.
him questions.
I just want to, just if we just switch the topic, just back to, we're talking about the police and stuff a little while ago. Just want to mention something. I'm now doing walkabouts every Wednesday with a group, and we're engaging the youth. And that's what we're doing. But right now, I'm just observing for the 4 weeks. I'm going round certain bits. We did Toplock Estate or Havelock Estate. What's it called now, Ange? Havelock Village?
Southall Village, I think.
Southall Village, yeah. Havelock Village. Brain fog.
Yeah, it's still a Havelock Estate to me.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
So that estate, 3 youngsters under the age of 21, 9 to 10 inch machete on them, casually holding it like it's a pencil or something. Out. We approached. We go, what's going on? They go, oh, it's safety. So obviously, I go, look, we're not part of the police. We aren't part of the police. But I do want to inform you, if you do get caught with that, that's a serious sentence you're looking at. And he goes to me, oh, no, it's fine. I've been caught before. I've just served. And it was so like normal to him to carry that around. And I asked him the question, why do you carry a blade around? He goes, for my safety. For his safety. I go, all right, you're more likely to get stabbed with a weapon than you are without a weapon. Yeah. And he goes, oh, I didn't think of it like that. So this is where it comes down to, and I'll be honest, the youth are very misunderstood. It's not right what he's done, don't get me wrong. We did pull him up and we did say to him, look, if we were part of the police, we could nick you on the spot because it's open, it's in open air, basically. You could do anything with that. So it's about how we engage them, and it's about education, because the youth are very misled nowadays, because the whole, be honest, it comes down to schooling as well. They have put this fear by the schools, and it happens a lot. I've seen it. I've heard of stories where even family members of mine have been told, if you aren't like this, this is what's going to happen. That's not true. Yeah. If you don't continue with education, you are not a mess up. I didn't go past education over the age of 18. I've got a job. I've got a whole life. I'm set up. So that is very wrong for schools to say. So knife crime is a real thing in Southall, and it's scary because girls walking through that estate, they will be terrified. It's not only girls, guys. I was terrified when I saw that. I told the guys, I was like, no, I'm not approaching. That's way too dangerous. He goes, let's engage. We'll see what happens. We did exactly that. Okay, the youth were a bit calm and they weren't, but there's all sorts going on everywhere. It's not just Havelock Estate. I don't want to just name and shame that. There are so many, there's golf links, there's so many other estates, council bits, social housing, even on the Green Quarter.
But Sufyan, the question you're going to ask is, well, the Green Quarter, I can tell you about Green Quarter, is about my house, behind my house. People are afraid to walk there.
Joe, just give me a second.
People are afraid to walk there.
Yeah, laughing gas. So nitrous oxide, I believe I spoke to Angela about this a couple of days ago. Canisters.
What does that do? What does that do?
It's a legal high, that's what it is. It just makes you feel a bit lightheaded, basically. It gives you a high, basically, for a short while. Similar to what cannabis does, but without the sort of, but yeah.
But Sufi, didn't you tell me, sorry to interrupt you, that people are openly using Class A drugs on the site of the Green Quarter, on the grassy area, just a stone's throw from the children's playground? And they're not doing it under cover of darkness, are they? They're doing it in broad daylight.
White powder, we saw that. So what the hell is that? Is that what I think that is? He goes, yeah, it's normal. He goes, it's normal.
think part of the issue
is
there's no infrastructure, no community infrastructure.
He said to me, I've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I've been on the street for the last 3 years. I asked him, you spoken to the council? He goes, yeah, they don't care.
When's the last time you guys seen police officers walking the beat?
Not seen them walking the beat. I saw a load of police cars the other day rushing towards, I don't know if you saw it.
They're rushing everywhere. They're rushing everywhere. But the question is, when have you or I seen police officers that actually walk in the beat? You don't see it. Yeah, you don't see it. And yet they want to increase the population of Southall and decrease the police. So
and decrease the facilities that youngsters would gravitate towards.
You're looking at a total breakdown of society. That's what you're looking at.
But
where's
again,
the sports centre?
with that, they want to increase the population.
I said this in 2010, Sophia.
I know, Joe, you said this, and this is the thing. They want to increase the population. There ain't no healthcare. The healthcare ain't there. The facilities for the healthcare.
Where's the leisure facilities?
GP practices have a population of over 10,000. Yeah, scary.
Well, they've opened a gym, Angela.
Have they?
They've opened a gym in the Green Quarter, but apparently it's only for the people who have bought their flats or leased, beg your pardon, who have leased their flats.
Where is it located?
It's in one of the blocks, I believe, but it's not for the people in social housing. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me they're treated as second-class citizens, that they are undeserving of facilities that would make their lives better.
This is exactly what is happening in South. There's going to be a two-tier society. The haves and the have-nots. It's very simple. And you got to blame the Labour Party in Southall. You got to blame the Labour Party. I've been speaking to a lot of people, and they said, Joe, we didn't even go out to vote. And the reason why we didn't go out is we know they're going to go to the leaders of the churches and beg them for the votes. As we discussed last time, that's their vote banks. That's where they're guaranteed to get some votes. I mean, the girl who won in my area, she said, I was shocked and horrified, she told somebody. when I won, because people were telling me to get out from their gates in their gardens. So what does that tell you? And then she won with 1,100 votes. Where did those 1,100 votes come from? Well, I can tell you, majority of them came from the religious organizations in Southall, where people have been telling me that we were actually told by our priest who we should vote for. Work that one out. This is Southall.
Depressing and disheartening.
Shameful is the word. And I thought that these religious organizations could not, under the Charities Commission, could not be telling people which way to vote. But it's clearly happening in Southall. And that's
Yeah,
why
something's got to give at the end of the day.
that's why our councillors, some of them, well, the useless ones, have been here for 25, 30 years as a councillor.
They're all useless as far as I'm concerned. They're it for themselves. Shall we bring Arif? Do you want to share?
Yeah,
Or
you
are
were
you
sort
back
of,
into the conversation?
yeah, you were basically saying that you've actually written to the councillors and so on, and the MP and so on, they weren't responding. And you also mentioned the Southall Reset Programme. And at the Southall Community Alliance last month, we had their representative give us some information about a survey. But tomorrow, the Southall Community Alliance is holding their monthly forum. That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. And the agenda item is Southall Reset Plan. So you can actually tell them about the reset plan and why the sort of council or councils aren't actually responding and what difference that program is going to make.
Who will be there?
Somebody from the council to present the Southall Reset program. So it's Mandar Puranik.
Who's that?
Somebody who's actually doing the Southall Reset program. They're hiring people to actually carry out the surveys and collect the information and so on. And
Well,
tell us
Problem
what
is,
it's gonna be.
Arif, you know, the way they do these surveys, they seem to be mainly reliant on people having access to the survey online. Many of our, you know, neighbours and older people and disabled people and those who are homeless do not have digital access. So only a very small percentage, I would say, of the Southall population is actually engaging with these surveys.
Yeah, you can actually raise that point tomorrow. Plus the survey, which they actually just published, basically said that the residents of Southall do not agree with the rosy picture painted by Healing Council. Like, we've got good jobs, we feel safe and whatever. So even the surveys they carried out, whether it's online or whatever, they do not actually go with what they're actually trying to say.
Yeah.
Arif,
And
what time
imagine
is this
if
meeting?
more people had access to that survey, you know, whether it was a paper survey or the council knocking on doors.
Yeah, it should be done like
As
that.
they do, when it suits them, they do
Yeah.
that. Because I had a knock on my door a few years ago asking me if I had an outhouse. It was a very aggressive approach, by the way. There was a team going around knocking on doors. So they can do it if they want to do it, if they really genuinely want to ensure that, you know, there is a wide response to their consultations.
Did she
They
bring
just
some police
pay
officers
lip
with her?
service, really.
Angela,
Sorry,
did she bring some police officers with her?
No, but the approach, I tried to crack a joke and yeah, got no
Was it a
laughter
short lady?
whatsoever.
Was it a short Asian lady?
I don't know, it was a team of them knocking on doors.
We had 3 police officers with them as well when they came to my house.
Oh yeah.
She brought 3 police officers with her.
Yeah, but I found
And
it
they were
very
very
aggressive
kind.
and it really out of
No,
order
they
the
were-
way that I was spoken to. I really objected to that.
No, but the police officers were very kind and light-hearted. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
waiting outside the house on the footpath. She knocked on the door,
Oh yeah.
and at that time I had a guest in the house. And I was doing something, and he said, I asked him to open the door. And when he opened the door, she said, "I'd like to speak to the homeowner." So I went there and I said, "How can I help you?" She said, "I've come to inspect the outhouse." I said, "I beg your pardon? What is an outhouse?" She goes, "At the back of your house." I said, "That's a shed." I said, "I've got a shed at the back of my house." She says, "Well, we've come to inspect it." I said, "To get into this house, you need to go to Ealing, West Ealing, to the magistrate's court and get a warrant, and only then you can enter my house." "Okay, then I'll be back." Oh, well, I've still been waiting. She hasn't come back. Been a number of years now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an outhouse not far from where I live.
Yep.
Net curtains,
Ooh, lovely.
front door mat.
Yep.
Letterbox on the outside.
Yep.
You know, it looks as though it is inhabited, but is probably connected with somebody who has a link to the council.
That's the way it works.
That's all I'm going to say at the moment.
No, that's the way it works.
Yeah, and
They
that's going to bring.
They don't knock on those doors.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you know, I spoke to you, I think it was a couple of days ago, about my bugbear as well at the moment, not just the air pollution, is fly tipping. And I went round one day taking photographs, and I was literally stopping about every 3 minutes to photograph fly tipping. And where I live, there are definite hotspots where you can guarantee as soon as the council clear it, a few days later, there's another pile of fly tipping. And the the hot spots are Caxton Road, Durley Road, Sussex Road, and why the council isn't doing anything to catch the culprits, because I think it must be the same people, because it's not, you're not talking just mattresses and bed bases. It also, so there's a tree by a garage on Caxton Road, and you will see bags of food rubbish. I walked past a bag and a banana skins in it and nappies, and to me that can only come from people living in accommodation that doesn't have sufficient bins. It's household waste that they're just dumping in bags by the tree. And there is no willpower by the council to seriously eradicate this antisocial behaviour. And it saddens me greatly, Joe, that my kids walk to school and they have to dodge these bags of crap Shameful. On the pavement, you know?
Shameful.
And the council's response is, "Oh, we'll report it on the Love Clean Streets app." But literally a few weeks ago, I was stopping about every 2-3 minutes taking photographs. I don't have time to be reporting multiple incidents of fly tipping when I'm on my way, you know, to work, or on my way to shopping, whatever it is I need to do, and I need to do it in a timely manner. And I've contacted your friend Kamaljit Dinser, Councillor Dinser, and he seems to be okay where he lives on Greenland Crescent, his end of Greenland Crescent, because I'm sure if people kept dumping bags of rubbish outside where he lives, something would be done. But it's happening down the other end of Greenland Crescent, but maybe it will creep his way, because I've noticed rubbish being dumped on Brent Road as well, quite close to where he lives, not that far away. You know, we don't buy into this PR exercise called a reset for Southall, because how can you be resetting Southall when the council is still continuing to give planning permission to Southall railway sidings, the former Barclays Bank on the green. The banqueting suite, is that coming up soon for planning permission? The meeting we went to with the company connected with the Barclays Bank development also talked about King's House. So it just seems, you know, it's everywhere. I mean, how many more developments can they cram into Southall Green? It's
Concrete
it's a
jungle.
living nightmare.
Concrete
really.
jungle.
Yeah.
Anything that they cannot build anywhere else, throw it into Southall. Throw it into Southall, because the councillors are not going to come to meetings. They're not going to face us in ward forums. They
What
can't
ward
face
forums?
the truth.
Yeah.
They cannot face the truth. The councillors themselves are weak individuals, and they're not
greedy with it.
They're not there for the residents.
Yeah.
It's what they can do
Self-serving
for
and
themselves.
greedy.
Thank you. It's what they can do for themselves and for their few people that they do have. Call them contractors, friends, whatever.
Foot soldiers.
This is the way Southall is.
Yeah.
Southall is becoming a dumping town. I'm sorry to say, but it'll be very sad to see the ending of Southall, and it won't be pleasant. It will not be pleasant.
Yeah.
You cannot have people in these flats on top of each other. I've heard of stories, you know, 2-bedroom flat, 3, 4, 5 people in there. It's just not wrong.
Overcrowded.
It's not wrong. It's not right. You know, you cannot.
Well, that's the only way, I presume, that they can afford to pay the rent or the mortgage.
Angela,
but there's no quality of life, you know, for those who have children.
But we've always been told, every lie that came out of Healing Town Hall, through our councillors, through the officers of Healing Council, has always said that we have so many people on the waiting list. Well, my argument is very simple. Some meetings, they say there's 30,000 on the waiting list, on the housing list. Sometimes they bring it down to 20,000. Sometimes they bring it down to 18,000. If that is the case, why are we then going to Manchester and to out of town to bring people into Southall? We met that family from Croydon when we had the Guardian newspaper with us. And she clearly just said that, look, our lives were in Croydon. And we were told by the council that if we don't take this opportunity, then our name will be coming out of the waiting list. That's blackmail. This is this what we say is the way that the council should be behaving? And yet the people who are brought up in Southall, born in Southall, they're being shipped out of Southall. There's something not right. What is going on?
Yeah. You know, we're being forced out of Southall because we cannot afford to get on the property ladder or rent anywhere.
So you got a family,
but also the quality of life. Where is the quality of life, Joe?
You got a mother and father who are living in Southall. Their child has been pushed out to Birmingham.
Yeah.
So, and yet you've got places, new builds, and those people are coming from out of town. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and Joe, but this is where this lies. We have we've got people, not patients, too involved with work. We've got people coming in, as you said, Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like I spoke to, because when you register with a new GP, especially in a new city, we've got this form, have you ever lived in? Question was, have you ever lived in Newcastle? Yes, I only moved last month. Where do they live? New development, that's all I can say.
Very sad.
It's quite concerning. It's social housing. It's not like they voluntarily moved, they've looked for a house in Southall and they're renting it privately. That's a different story. You can do what you want when you rent. But where you have social housing, you've got to demand of the youngsters, especially, including myself. when I was looking for a council house, I'll be brutally honest with you here. I was looking for a place. I rang that. I said, "What's the procedure?" They go, "Yeah, there's no space in the register. There is no space." I go, "What do you mean there's no space?" They go, "Yeah, we are overwhelmed." That's what the lady told me over the phone. She goes, "Well,
That's why they're
overwhelmed."
calling people from out of town.
Yeah. I said, but you've got, and I said this to them over the phone. I go, I know this because I do the sort of work I do. You've called people from Croydon, Manchester. She goes, "Oh, that's a council issue." I said, "No, it's my
So
issue."
what would she? So no, beg your pardon. So if that's a council issue, who's paying her wages?
The council.
Thank you. So why is it a council issue? It's her issue. She's on the housing. She's working in the housing office. Yeah.
And I was in a right mind. I sent an email off to.
That's disgusting.
I sent an email off to a few people in the Healing Council, and I said, "Can you answer me this?" Still to this day, this was last July. Still to this day, I've not received a response. Now it's not this July, which has just gone 2022. This is 2021. Yeah. I've emailed back and forth. People might say to me, "Well, you're sitting dormant and you're not emailing." No, I have emailed every other week about this, and I've got the evidence trail, because when they do come back to me, I'll say, right, I would give it reasonably, I'll give it 28 days for something like this to be dealt with. Yeah, because it's not like I'm homeless or anything. No, it's an issue that I need to get onto the housing ladder. I need to start my life somewhere. And that will be renting because at the end of the day, I know how it goes with property. My family, obviously we do properties and stuff within the family. I know about properties. This is why I look at the council register. I look at it and I'm thinking, you lot don't have a damn clue on what you're doing, because you've got to demand. You've got people from here. You need to clear that demand. Then, yeah, if you've got extra houses, which they won't be if they actually cleared the register, there won't be a single vacant property. And if there is a vacant property, that house should be left there for a good amount of time and clear the homeless people off the street. We've got an elderly gentleman, very well known in Southall. He's been on the street for years. And I've spoken to him numerous amount of times. When I see him along South Road, I go, "Why don't you go?" He goes, "I've already spoken to the council. They don't listen to me. They give me one look and they say, well, you're like this. Why? You've lived like this for so long. Why can't you do it?" I'm sorry, but just because someone is homeless doesn't give them the right or the sort of mental strength to be on the street. There's a lot of mental strength. You're at risk of getting stabbed every night. You don't know whether you're going to wake up in the morning. Yeah, anything could happen to someone on the street, and the council don't care. So when the council have these new houses and new developments, they need to prioritize the people in this borough. And this
I got another way.
Sophie or anybody else, I don't know if you know the guy who wears white robes. You sometimes see him on the bus. He's carrying like a bag of clothes or something. Yeah, is he homeless?
Yeah.
Do you know the guy I'm talking about?
The one with the slippers.
Yeah.
Wears a white robe.
Yeah, he dresses with slippers. He normally has slippers on.
Yeah.
Poor fella, I've always seen him sitting on a bus stop.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
What I was going to say was, the better way, there is better ways of running a council. And
yeah, for sure.
I'm looking into a parish council. Yeah. Where Southall will be dealt with in Southall rather than going with a begging bowl to Healing Council. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And
is this totally separate to the town forum the council's setting up for Southall?
Yep. You just need, only a minute support from the residents to put the idea into practice. And I'm working on that. So
I didn't catch what you said. Did you say parish council?
Yeah, what it is like other towns have their own councils in their town.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is how it used to work in the old days,
Yeah.
because a lot of the land would belong to the churches.
Yeah.
So we can actually run a campaign. People have had enough with Healing Council.
Yeah.
And we get, I think it's about 10% or the 15% of the people vote it in.
Yeah.
And then we can go to central government with our idea that
Yeah.
we are
Anything
not,
legitimate is worth a try, Joe,
yeah,
because
we're not being
our
looked
needs are not being served.
we're not being looked after by Healing Council. Yeah. And you know, we're not going to get anywhere because Mr. Sharma, yeah, he spends a majority of his time in Ivor. His son's got a house in Ivor. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So nobody really cares. Our local politicians, they haven't got a tongue in their mouth when it comes for the residents of Southall. Okay. Have you seen any councillor come for a
No,
walk out with us? Have you seen any
not at all.
standing on the street talking to the public? Because they're afraid of the public.
Yeah.
Because they're working against the public.
Just to mention one, you know, obviously we know about Rupa Huq and her very ill-judged, racially motivated comments about Kwasi Kwarteng. Obviously the whip's been withdrawn. Somebody said Peter Mason is being lined up for that seat. Do you know anything, Joe?
I'll look into it this week.
Yeah.
But I'm very sorry. I mean, Angela, I'd like to apologize to you. You're
no
from
need, Joe.
the African community. I do apologize. She shouldn't have used those sort of words. It's not right. It's wrong in this day and age.
Yeah.
Personally, I find him to be a lovely human being. You know, we need.
The thing is, you know, it reminds me of my sister. She used to be a print buyer for Thomas Cook, the travel agent. And she used to deal with suppliers, mostly on the phone. But anyway, she arranged a meeting with one of them. And prior to that, had a lot of phone dialogue with them. And as she went down to meet him at reception, he more or less said, I didn't realize you were, you know, almost said the word black. So, you know, how is a black person supposed to sound? You know, it's just absolutely ridiculous that we have people who believe in stereotypes.
Of course.
And when somebody doesn't fit that stereotype, you know, to accuse them of not being black, or they don't sound black, is just really offensive. But, you know, if, you know, I don't know what will happen, but if Peter Mason is being lined up, and we know that he is very ambitious and he's a careerist, he's not interested in Southall at all. He's more interested in the plight of eels in Hanwell than he is about young children who are being poisoned on a daily basis by his pals at Berkeley Group and also the local companies that are operating these incinerators. And then I'll add into the mix the asphalt plants in Hillingdon Borough. Somebody sent me a photograph this morning. They were driving to work down Scott's Road, and they said it was absolutely reeking of asphalt, and you could see the chimney and the fumes blowing towards Southall. Yet, you know, our council does nothing to advocate on behalf of its residents. You know, we are just surrounded by pollution, not just from vehicles, but from, as I said, these point source, you know, point source air pollution from these developments. And it saddens me that you have people from an ethnic minority background who think that Peter Mason is the bee's knees, that he's a good guy.
Well,
And I'm talking about a newly elected councillor for one of the Greenford wards. And we had some dialogue on Twitter by private messaging because I wanted to meet her and say, look, this is the lives of people in Southall. This is how we're affected. I would have taken her and shown her where the incinerators are. I would have shown her the usual hotspots for fly tipping. Do you know what she did? We were in the process of making arrangements for week commencing the 3rd of October. Should I need to get my work schedule? I said, look, I'm available daytime, Monday, Tuesday, any evening apart from Friday evening. There was no insults or discourteous behaviour from me. She blocked me. So she's got no intention, as far as I'm concerned, of actually following through and making arrangements to meet up. You know, as far as I'm concerned, her view of Peter Mason is erroneous. And I would say, sadly, there are people from ethnic minority backgrounds who allow themselves to be used to further somebody else's agenda, who is not of the same background or facing the same disadvantage. And, you know, I call them foot soldiers.
What I've been hearing from Healing Town Hall is that there may be a vote for the dustmen, cleaners to go on strike, because they're upset that Peter Mason has just received a pay rise of £25,000 per annum.
That's shocking. Given the cost of living crisis that is going on.
£25,000 per year.
And pay rises to the cabinet as well, then?
Well, what we need to do is we need to do an FOI, if you would, please. We need to do an FOI on what is he actually paid before the 25,000. This is what happens when you bring your friends and your colleagues to become the CEO of Healing Council. Then you can do as you like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's jobs for, you know, friends. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And then yet Healing Council or the Labour Party radio station said to me when I was there being interviewed on this Labour Party radio station that the council is telling them we don't have no money. Well, they have plenty of money to fund for themselves, but not for the residents of South. We are probably the 3rd or the 4th richest council in England.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know this. We're not far behind.
What is really scary, you know, he is then really out of touch with the lives of ordinary people. But you know, people are going to be struggling to pay the gas bill, the electricity bill, feed their kids.
£25,000. You understand a pay rise of 1%, 2%, 3%.
Yeah, 5%.
£25,000 above your salary. So what is your salary to start off with? So that's what we need to know. We need to do an FOI of what is his salary, and then we add 25,000 to it and see what these people
percentage
are doing.
Rise. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because now it all makes sense, because I saw our useless councillors sweating when the count was taking place in the town hall. And I just looked at them and I said, is it worth a heart attack? Well, now I know it's just, they're only in it for the money. It's nothing else. They're not there to serve us, the residents of Southall or Ealing. They're there to help their pockets.
Yeah, feather their own nests, most definitely.
That's all it is. This is nothing to do with sweating that you may lose, that you want to help the residents. And people like Mr. Sharma, let's see what he has to say in his meeting, because I'm 100% going to turn up.
Oh, I'm glad
Because
you are, because that's a
we need
stretch
to.
too
Somebody
far
has
for
to
me to go
stand.
to Northfield, because you
Somebody
know
has
it
to
was really
stand and ask him some
disappointing to
clear
have
questions.
representatives from the NHS, the police, TfL. You know, with the greatest respect, I wanted him to answer questions from members of the public. And no doubt, again, you know, there's going to be a significant number of councillors in the audience. It's so manipulative what
It's a
happens in
It's a
these
fix.
meetings.
Well, then we'll have to go to his house in Ivor and wake him up one Saturday morning.
Does he not live in Southall anymore then?
That's what the that's how the, how do they say it? The cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
You make Southall into a mess that it is. Of course, you don't want to live in it.
Yeah.
You don't.
Oh, yeah.
You don't live in it. You don't live in it yourself. You go to the posher parts,
Yeah.
the sticks we call it. You know.
And they probably, you know, he won't be the only one who
Of
moves
course.
into
Of
the
course.
suburbs
Of
and
course.
leaves behind the mess that they've
Well, they're
created.
making the mess. They're making
Yeah.
the mess.
Mm.
You know, they're making the mess, and we have to
Well,
live
you know,
in it.
what life is there for the next generation?
I feel
You know,
sorry for
Peter Mason talks about bringing back good jobs. You know,
when
in
and where.
Southall?
Yeah, he's probably talking about his job for himself and his
Yeah,
friends.
yeah.
You know, and his friends. We paid the
Seems to
CEO.
have
I
sort
think.
of bypassed him that people actually migrate out Southall for work. You know, they work at the airport, or they go into central London. You know, there aren't the job opportunities here for people. But if you're going to fill up every scrap of land with high-rise developments, I don't see the opportunities. And, you know, to give planning permission, and I keep calling it honey puff, but you know, the factory that used to make
Quaker
no,
Oats.
it's not Nestle. Sugar Puff, is it? I don't know. Sorry?
Is it Quaker Oats?
Quaker Oats. Yeah,
Quaker Oats.
Quaker Oats. But you know what I mean, don't you? You can see it from the railway line, and that's all demolished now. But that's set to become a logistics centre.
Yeah, of course it is.
How the hell
Yep.
are lorries going to be able to exit and enter Southall?
Well, they're just going to
Who
block
in
up
their
all the
right
traffic.
mind would
They're going to
want
block
to
up all
have
the
a
traffic.
warehouse?
They're not going to go far. The
Do you
drivers,
know?
the drivers
were
will just come to work, get
Exactly.
stuck in traffic, and then go back and say, "Well, I haven't emptied my load because it's been gridlocked." You know, look how Western Road is in Old Southall.
Exactly
Look how
that.
the corridor is
Exactly that. There are roadworks.
everywhere.
A couple of weeks ago, Western Road and Brent Road and Hayes Road heading towards the A312 were absolutely gridlocked. You needed to allow at least 30 minutes to get from where I live to the roundabout at Balls Bridge. And what happened, I went to Hayes for an optician's appointment. There are no roadworks. They started the roadworks at some point that morning, because when I returned at lunchtime, the traffic on the A312 up to Pump Lane, and perhaps even before that, was all backed up down to the roundabout at Balls Bridge. It was absolute bumper to bumper along Hayes Road. Do you know, from Hayes to my home on Scots Road took me an hour? Can you believe that? 1 hour. I was actually late. I was meant to be meeting a friend to have lunch at the Scotsman. Sorry, excuse me. And I had to keep texting and saying, I'm really sorry. I can't, you know, move. I'm not moving. It's absolute bumper to bumper. So why anybody in their right minds thinks that a logistics centre near Merrick Road is a good idea is beyond me. In actual fact, probably companies will soon see, actually, I'm better off having one of the warehouses on near the A312 in Feltham. You know, it's a ludicrous idea.
Yeah, but just wait for 560 more flats coming in Dome as well. In the centre of the car park, Dominion Centre.
Yeah.
So the story is correct. What somebody told me was he went for a driving lesson from Scott Road.
Yeah.
Never got to Costco's, and
I
they
can
had to
believe
turn
it.
back.
And that was the end of his lesson.
And the poor lady came from Hayes, and she said, "I'm never coming back into Southall again."
I know. Sorry, I'm glad you're making me laugh, because when they
We
were
have
doing
to
the
laugh.
roadworks on Hayes Road, I was
We're
so
controlled
stressed
by-
because that was
we
the
have to
most
laugh.
direct route for me to get to Uxbridge.
But we have to laugh. We're controlled by
It caused me
clowns.
immense stress.
No, we're
It was
controlled
taking me
by
an
clowns.
hour or more to get to Uxbridge. Can you believe
Yeah.
that?
Of course. We're
It's-
controlled by clowns. Of course I got to laugh.
Yeah. They are reprehensible in every way because they have no
They're the
concern
biggest jokers.
for our
They're the
lives.
biggest jokers on this planet, yeah.
Mm.
And the sad part is, yeah, they're gonna cause so much chaos for our children, and then they're not gonna be around no more. Okay? But they're gonna cause. I mean, what sort of legacy they're gonna
They
leave
are already
behind?
causing that. What is available
What
in
legacy are they
Southall?
leaving behind?
You know,
What
the Yak is
legacy?
going. The
No, but I
sports
mean,
the
but
sports centre shut down. There's nothing.
No, but Angela, what legacy are they leaving that people are going to say to their children? That your father done this, your father done this, your father done this. Is that the legacy they're going to leave behind, basically? You know? And
It's
it's
not
ridiculous.
about improving our lives and the lives of the next generation. It's
No,
about aiding and abetting the property developers to make money
of
at the
course.
expense of ordinary working class people.
Now, if you remember when the housing
You know,
minister,
these people who represent us, they've forgotten where their families come from.
When the housing minister came to Southall, and Berkeley Group then turned around and said they've received £65 million. Now, I can't understand this, okay? The Mayor of London is giving them money, or the government, central government is giving them money, okay, or throwing money at them, yeah, for them to build these flats, and then they resell these flats, yeah. I think a letter has to go to the minister that how dare you give our money away, yeah, to companies like Berkeley Group, yeah, when people are suffering, and these people then are making money on top of this money by selling the flats.
It's set to get worse. If interest rates are going up.
No, but we want proof. Are they actually paying the money back to central government or to the Mayor of London? Because when you get given a grant, you're supposed to be doing something decent and charitable. Yeah. And getting a grant and then making money, okay, out of land, building flats, and then selling them, you're actually making a profit with no money of your own being invested. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So for phase 2, I believe he's given them £65 million. So I think we need to do an FOI with the government of how much money have they actually received so far. If this is the plan, and how much money has the government received back from Berkeley Group?
Yeah.
Because I think the government are just throwing money at these sort of companies.
Yeah. But it's not just Berkeley Group, is it? I mean, what about, have you seen the development on Merrick Road? And I could see from Queen's Road,
that was Red
lots
Road,
of the
wasn't it?
balconies had red banners.
Yeah.
And it's quite clear that they're vacant. And
they're
they
not
are now promoting, you know, that these flats are available on these red banners.
Angela, the problem is, our forefathers, okay, our forefathers always told us, okay, do not buy a property that's on lease, okay? You
Yeah.
can never gift that to your children or your grandchildren. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So we always buy a house which is
Yeah.
freehold.
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right. So they have made a big mistake in Southall. They thought that people were going to buy these flats, yeah, and we're running with the check to the bank.
Mm.
But it's actually backfiring. Yeah, they're not. I mean, I'm standing in the garden now and I'm looking. Okay,
Yeah.
and a few lights are on that tower. Okay,
Yeah.
you can see the
Yeah.
tall one. A few lights are on, and that might even be that there's maintenance work going on. You with me? The interior
Yeah.
people or somebody are
Yeah.
working in there. But if you go into where the Sunrise building used to be,
Oh yeah.
and you see the disaster of the parking,
Yeah.
it is diabolical. Yeah, it is diabolical. My wife gets a parking ticket, yeah, today on a disabled bay. Yeah,
Yeah.
but over there, you want to go and see the parking, the buses get jammed, the trucks get jammed, funerals
I
get
thought the
jammed.
whole idea was that residents would be people who would use public transport, and
That was the
the
carrot
Saint
that was
Elizabeth,
given.
sorry, Queen Elizabeth line, to get into central London and
That was the carrot that was
Heathrow,
given.
so they wouldn't
That was the
need
carrot.
a
No,
personal
that was the carrot.
vehicle.
No, that was the carrot given when they wanted the planning permission. They always give you a
Yeah.
carrot
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're rabbits. We love carrots.
Joe,
You know,
I've
the thing
got
What
with
is-
Southall,
Yeah.
I've got to go. Can I give you some information you asked for? Last
You
year,
go ahead.
Peter Mason's salary was £27,871. That's basic salary, but the total was £37,579
where do you get this information from?
from the
Arif?
website, Healing Council. The other thing is, last
Arif,
year, last
He's the
year,
leader of the
the
council.
council
He's the leader of the
leader's salary was 32,000.
So
Last
now
year,
it's plus
council
25.
leader's salary was 32,000. This year is 54,000. That's just a basic salary, not anything else.
Yeah. What about allowances on top of that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those are on top.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
sitting on some cabinet or meeting or whatever, those are additional 10, whatever, £1,000 per post you hold.
Yeah. And what about the CEO? Isn't he on circa
That's different.
100,000?
Yeah, I think is 200,000 or whatever, but that's on a somewhere else. That's
Yeah.
public salary. What they said is we got to hire the best, therefore we got to increase the salary and offer the best salary. That
But
was
we
the-
paid him.
And that's
we
a guy
him
who was
payoff
paid
to
off
get
not
rid of
that
him.
long ago.
No, we paid him a payoff to get rid of him last time. We actually paid him, I think,
Yeah.
£75,000 or something,
Yeah.
just to get rid
Oh,
of
it's
him.
obscene, isn't it? Really, what's going on?
Well, we deserve the worst, don't we? When people in Southall vote with their feet, then obviously, you're not going to get the best, are you? We need to
I
vote with
wonder
our
if
brains.
just something light-hearted. I don't know. Oh no, I don't think you were there. This was at, as you call them now, the Labour Party radio station. And Peter
Yeah.
Mason's predecessor, Julian Bell, said he's learning Punjabi.
Oh,
now
yes,
that-
of course.
He's no longer a councillor. Do you think he is fluent in Punjabi?
Why did he want to learn Punjabi?
Oh, I don't know, to flatter the radio host. Who knows?
I find that funny, actually.
You should test him and say, oh, what have you learned? If you ever bump into him, that is.
We should do an FOI. We should send an FOI and ask him, what words did you actually learn?
Yeah. Yeah, but he's yesterday's man, isn't he, really? Yeah. Anyway, shall we close the meeting a little bit earlier tonight? Is there anything else?
No worries.
Yeah. Oh, the only thing I
worries.
wanted to say before we close the meeting, in relation to the Environmental Protection Officer,
Yep.
You know, there was a huge fanfare last year. An environmental protection officer has been appointed. They
Yep.
have a mobile phone number, and that was promoted on the council website and in the magazine.
Yep.
Well, the mobile phone number hasn't been working for weeks, right?
Because they haven't paid the bill for the telephone bill. That's what.
Well, apparently the IT department are dealing with it.
Oh, really?
And I wanted to ask Sophie before he left, you know, what do they need to do to resolve this mobile phone problem? Every time I ring, I get told the number is unavailable. So what does it have to do with the IT department? You know, I'm thinking like you, probably they haven't paid the bill.
Yep. They haven't paid the bill.
Yeah.
Well, they
But
can't
anyway,
afford to after paying the wages.
The serious point I want to make is that the unavailability of the mobile number is creating a climate of underreporting, or rather adding to it.
Yep.
Because we know a lot of people in Southall, especially the older generation, don't have access to the internet, you know,
Nope.
aren't on smartphones,
Nope.
you know, haven't got access to emails. So the most accessible way for them to get in contact with the council is by telephone.
Correct.
And I just cannot understand for the life of me, other than a deliberate creation of the climate to ensure that underreporting happens, to massage the statistics, why the phone number is no longer working. And you know,
People of Southall are not worthy. That's what it shows me.
Oh yeah, you know,
And
this has been going on for years. You know, the smoke and mirrors, you know, to do with
no voice.
to do with the Southall reset. And unfortunately, Arif, I won't be going to the meeting tomorrow. You know, I think genuinely, if they wanted to consult the community, they would be holding a meeting similar to the forums that used to take place.
Yep.
Not a meeting hosted by one community group.
That's correct.
So again, it's all to do with creating a false image of engaging with the community.
Yep.
When it's a group that doesn't have widespread engagement with the community, certainly not with
not at all
young people.
Not at all. I think they're very close to the council personally. I think Southall Community Alliance are very close to Southall councillors and also to Healing Council. And I would even say that they're the mouthpiece for Healing Council, because the problems that we've been having as residents for the last 6-7 years in Southall Community Alliance never stood with us.
No, definitely not.
Like Sufyan said, I think what got them involved.
Somebody told me, you might know, Joe, this person works at Desi Radio, that the council gives funding to SCA, and they tell SCA, you decide how you want to distribute this funding and which other groups should receive this funding.
Yep.
You know, there's all sorts that goes on.
I've heard that. I've also seen documents about wages, what sort of money people are on, and it's horrendous. It's ridiculous. And I personally think that's a waste of our hard-earned money that's going to the wrong situation in Southall. That money can be used.
That's one of the reasons, Joe, why I don't play the National Lottery. Because unfortunately, you know, you get some organisations who receive lottery funding, and you wonder if it's really best use of people's hard-earned money.
No, but I'm sure they're also getting grants from Healing Council.
Yeah.
As one member of theirs said to me once in a telephone conversation, that we do get involved with situations in Southall. And my answer to him was, well, why haven't you been standing with the residents of Southall when it came across Southall Waterside, when we had the difficulties with Berkeley Group, and he could
No,
not
they've
answer.
never stood with us.
No, he
Yeah,
could
I
not
mean, I
answer
have
the-
heard. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent a bit. Of an organisation that was actively encouraged to apply for ward forum funding.
Yep.
And basically they haven't used that money for what they said they would use it for.
Oh, right.
And you know,
Probably used it to pay
why
the
not
wages.
be transparent and publicize and allow all organizations that have a community bias to apply for this funding?
Well, I've spoken to a couple of their members, or should I say, they were using their names, and they've turned around to me and said, well, we're not interested, because we actually found out how Southall Community Alliance is run. When I've been quite openly speaking and asking the right questions, people lose their tops. People get really upset when you ask the hard questions, you know.
Keep asking the hard questions, keep speaking the truth. Don't let anybody deter you from that, Joe.
That's in our blood. That's in our DNA.
You're a fighter, and long may you continue.
That's in our DNA. Thank you.
Yeah. Rashpal, did you want to say anything before the end of the meeting?
Just the same issues you guys been talking, you know, they're not solving much. So
Thank you. Thank you, Rashmi.
the town hall meetings, I don't find them helpful. You know, I went there for few times. Then I didn't went after because I didn't felt heard over there. I don't
You
know.
didn't feel heard?
Yeah, maybe Joe knows most.
Of course, we all know. Rashpal, all of Southall knows what's going on. You know, we can see through the web of deceit. We can see through it, the fog.
Rashpal, what didn't you find helpful?
Because I wanted to speak, you know, then they didn't hear me, and they just brought some their own question. You know, they said they already decided. So, what was our point to go for the meeting? You know, and
They've already made.
So you were denied your voice, your right to contribute to the meeting.
Yep.
So it's all manipulated and controlled.
Yes.
Then
That's the word, manipulation.
I didn't feel like going again. So I thought to myself, I rather I stay here and I attend your meetings online. You know, at least you are talking sense. You know, and all Joe and other people who involved. And you know, same old thing. You know, what you can do. You know, they should listen to us. But these people, I don't know what they decided. So we have to suffer at the moment. So unless people gather and they share their opinions and share their you know, concerns, then it will help everybody. And otherwise, I don't know what to say and what to do. You know,
Sad, very sad.
try your best. You know, until we hope for the best. And people got to get together and you know, find their voice and to, you know, like speak to the people, you know, who are responsible, ask them and sort things out. Otherwise it will go on, you know, for how long it has been going on. It is so many problems we have, you know. We have this traffic issues, noise pollution, you know, especially around my area is I'm suffering a lot. You know, little bit
Terrible.
and there night time there are lots of noises, you know, people doing so many things around here. And also everywhere you go around the area, like traffic, problems, especially when you go for work and suddenly road closes down. Like the other day, I went on Western Road and the road suddenly blocked, and
Yeah.
it took me 45 minutes to get there to my work. I was late an hour, and in my job, we have to go on time, We,
Rashpal, it
so
is very stressful, and that would cause you stress. And
yeah, yeah,
in the powers that be, they don't care that this stress will potentially cause you and other residents to turn up at the doctor, and the doctor's just going to prescribe tablets for anxiety and depression. That is not solving the problem. It is making it seem like the problem lies with us. Well, no, it doesn't. It lies with the authorities who are making decisions that are worsening the quality of our life. As you say, causing the traffic congestion, overdeveloping the area, not providing the community infrastructure that is needed. They would rather the NHS face a huger bill.
Southall is a mess, everywhere you go, you see dirty floors, and how
Yeah.
much pictures you can take, you can't take
It's
all that.
depressing. It's depressing.
You have to do other things as well in your life, and if these leaders ignoring us, so what we can do, like people got to get together and sort things out for themselves. They, like Joe is helping them and you guys are helping them, so they can support you guys.
And you too, Rashpal, because you made a stand and stood in the local election. You have said enough is enough. There has to be a different way. So, you are very much the voice of reason. And I've listened to what you've had to say, and it's perfectly logical to me. And I understand why you don't want to play the game that, a community organisation is playing with Ealing Council. Our lives are at stake, and you can see it, you can see what's going on, and you don't want to be part of that. So, I respect you greatly.
I'm trying my best, how much I can, like if I'll be helpful, and other people also, they're trying our best for everybody, included ourselves, like independent.
Well done.
So I found
No,
it
well
helpful.
done, Rashmi. We'll
Sorry,
get there eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah,
We'll get there eventually. Don't worry.
we have to sort out something, otherwise it will not
Don't worry.
stop. It will ruin everything,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I think we have to be a voice. And obviously, this forum is a voice, because if we don't speak up, then it's like we are being complicit. We are happy with what is going on. We accept being treated as second-class citizens and in the unjust manner that we are by these so-called councillors. So we will carry on sharing our narrative of life in Southall. We're not going to stop. The council might have taken away the forums, and they might be implementing, I think it's a town forum, but you can bet your bottom dollar that forum will be full of people who are close to Ealing Labour. Yeah.
Of course.
Not representing the ordinary man and woman in the street.
these leaders are bullies, they don't let you speak, and they're stopping you from doing what is right, and people shouldn't be scared, because they should open up and speak their, what's their but they need it. And go further, mm, we have to do some more to to solve these problems.
Yeah, we can't keep quiet. I am really tempted to take Joe up on his offer and go round to, accounts as home,
Yep.
respectfully
We'll wake up in the
and
morning.
legitimately and legally.
Yep.
Yeah, we should.
And knock on their door. They don't have to answer, but they don't come to us. So
Nope.
we will have to go to them.
Of course. And we tell their neighbors how useless they are.
They are really bad people. I don't believe them anymore now. Before I used to think they are good. I used to support them.
No.
Not anymore.
No, there's nothing good about them. There's nothing good about them. We've
I
had
want-
50 years of this.
I won't be supporting them anymore.
Yeah.
They have
I will
We've
never
had 50 years.
forget Rashpal. There was a resident on Joe's Road, Mr. Judge.
Oh, lovely.
And he came to our very first cash meeting at I can't remember. Roxy's new tandoori. Yeah. And he talked about how his grandchildren didn't want to visit anymore because of the stink from the gasworks. And
Yep.
we all know as family how important it is for the elders to have contact with the young people in the family. It keeps them alive, gives them a reason to live. And I will never forget his story. And that keeps me going, because he's no longer with us. So we have to carry on fighting the battle for those who've passed on.
It's very hard, we are trying our best. So, if people stand with us, then we can do something, create a better future for everybody, not only for us.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. People need to stand up and be counted and not just respond to what they perceive as being a real threat, and I'm thinking of what happened back in the 1970s with the National Front coming to town and the death of Blair Peach. But what this council is doing, along with Ealing Labour, is aggressive and is racist and is about keeping a community in its place. That is a threat to us and needs to be recognised as such. And Rashpal, you're right, people need to join with us and be a voice and to be
getting so much expenses, food and everything, and people are on after COVID, it's very hard for some families, and other things, so many issues we have, and there's noise and everything around here, around my house. And they are not.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
But all of that noise, Rashpal, will affect your mental health, your physical health, your inability to get enough rest and to be able to go to work energized. It is destructive.
It is, yeah. It is. It's not helping anybody, I don't know how people coping here, and it is too much now, It's it should stop now.
Yeah. But I think, those in power would rather you turn up and get a prescription for pills from your doctor and them actually deal with the issues that's causing you to have a poor quality of life. Everybody has the right to have a healthy life, and that is being denied us by Ealing Council. It certainly made me think twice about voting Labour, because I used to think that they were the party of the working class. From my
No, the
encounters, yeah, with Healing
The
Labour,
opposite.
they are ruthless in keeping people down and entrenching inequality in society.
The medication won't help, they have bad side effects, and they don't think about people. They just I don't know about. They are just playing with the people's lives. They are
Yeah.
making everything worse for them.
I blame Rashpal, I blame the religious leaders in Southall. They're playing the people. They're playing the residents of Southall.
They are the bad.
It's all to do with our religion, unfortunately.
Yeah, some people are with them. So
Of course.
some like who
But
wants
there's new votes. There's Rashpal, there's new voting
is it
in the Sikh temples. In the Sikh temples, there's new voting on the 2nd or I think 1st of October. So maybe, we'll bring some new faces in and things will be different, We'll bring educated people in.
that's all right then.
Yeah, we can only do our best. We mustn't lose hope. We must always have strong
never.
hope.
We might as well be 6 foot under if we lose hope.
Of course.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, I think let's draw this meeting to a close.
And I
Joe
appreciate it.
and Arif, good luck with the meeting tomorrow. Joe, be the voice tomorrow. I don't know what this film is all about, but you can counter it with what life is like today.
I thought he just changed it. That now it's not the film. It's actually going to be the other group coming to tell them about recess, Southall recess or whatever, reset or whatever.
Reset. Okay, whatever it's about, Joe. I know
First they said
that,
film, then they changed it to reset. So talk about
Joe. We're talking about tomorrow and the next day. Tomorrow is the film, Me and My Southall. The next day is the essay forum, which will be about Southall reset.
Right.
All right, Joe. Hopefully you can attend both meetings, and you can add to the dialogue about me and my Southall with a sharp reality check as to what life is like living behind the gasworks.
Of course.
And you will also, if you turn up to the other meeting, challenge the Southall Reset program as being propaganda.
Of course. I will.
Okay. Shall we leave it there for this month's meeting? And we'll meet again last Tuesday of October. So I wish you all well. So thank you, Rashpal. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Arif. And I know Sophie had to leave early because he had some work to do, but thanking him as well. So see you next month. Thank you very much. Good night.